Mr. Swalwell is down there. Obviously, everybody knows he's made some comments. He's got a checkered past. He's alleged relationships.
A checkered past? I would ask.
It's my time. Alleged affairs, relationships with
No,
Yum
sir.
Yum.
You don't get to say that shit. That's not true.
He had alleged relationships with Yum Yum.
I asked the gentleman's words to be taken down.
You don't get to say
Mr.
that,
Chairman.
pal. So January 6th, over 150 officers were injured. One lost an eye, one lost a finger, one lost a life, but you didn't see any violence.
No, sir, I did not. That was not my experience.
You agree, though, that violence against police officers took place that day?
Sir, I'm not quite sure what this has to do with the exploitation of children like the young girl who wore this band.
Sure. I guess, you were called, you publicly tweeted this, the majority knew that you were on the Capitol grounds on January 6th. And so, your credibility is, just as every witness, including the Democratic witness, is fair grounds for questioning. And so I guess my question is, you are aware that violence took place at the Capitol on January 6th.
That's what the media says.
Okay. Do you believe the media?
Inherently, I do
No,
not.
about January 6th.
About January 6th, I can only go by my personal experience. And I absolutely, if waving a flag and praying outside of the Supreme Court and standing outside waving a flag on public property is a crime, I'm not quite, again, I'm really not sure what relevance. We have children that are being raped using our taxpayer dollars. I'm not quite sure what this has to do with me waving a flag has to do with.
You were among a crowd that did commit violence. And my question for you is, and I accept you at your word, you did not commit any violence that day, you didn't see any violence that day. Certainly, it's not a lie, it's not made up that 150 officers were injured. But my question is, to your credibility, will you condemn the violence that took place against the officers that day?
I absolutely condemn any violence, including the violence that is occurring at our southern border using our taxpayer dollars. Absolutely.
Okay. And did you tell the majority before they invited you here that you had participated on the Capitol grounds on January 6th?
Did I tell the majority that I waved a flag on?
Did they know that you
grounds?
had been at the Capitol on
That
January 6th?
was not a question that I was asked, no, sir.
Okay. And as it relates to January 6th, you also posted a tweet that encouraged people to attend that day and, quote, fight for Trump. Do you remember writing on January 1, 2021, imagine over 1 million patriots screaming, fight for Trump. Think Congress and the Supreme Court will hear us. When you say fight for Trump and then there was actually fighting, physical fighting on behalf of Trump, what did you mean?
Are you stating that I tweeted that?
You don't remember tweeting?
No, sir, I honestly do not.
Okay, so on January 1, 2021, you sent a tweet that said, imagine over 1 million patriots screaming, quote, fight for Trump on the 6th. Think Congress and SC, which I believe is Supreme Court, will hear us then. Hashtag fight for Trump. Your testimony is that you did not say that.
I'm saying I honestly do not remember tweeting that. I was not very active on Twitter.
Well, you also tweeted at 4 o'clock, I just got home. You said, I just got whole safely. I think you meant home. At BWI Airport, is the gate filled up with those of us with Trump gear on and several Army soldiers near time to boarding. Our gate was surrounded by airport security.
The gentleman yield for a moment?
No, I will not yield. So you tweeted regularly throughout the days leading up to January 6th. You asked people to fight for Trump, and then you took a picture of yourself near the Capitol. So I just want to know, when you say fight for Trump and people ultimately fought for Trump, do you regret those words?
Sir, I do. The second one that you just read, yeah, because that was a very traumatic experience. I couldn't understand why my gate surrounding in BWI was surrounded by guardsmen, and how we as a whole, everyone that was on that plane, were threatened to be removed. I could not understand because, again, I did not experience any type of violence. As far as the first one that I would have to go back and look at that. I really do not honestly remember tweeting that first.
I'll make sure we give it to you.
Expired.
And I just want to correct, I said January 6th for the BWI airport. It was January 7th. I just want to, January 7 was when you tweeted about
Mr.
PW.
Nels.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Rodriguez, I apologize that you had to, you're here for a hearing on the border. They don't want to talk about a border. Mr. Swalwell is down there. Obviously, everybody knows he's made some comments. He's got a checkered past. He's alleged
I'm sorry,
relationships.
a checkered past? I would ask.
It's my time. Alleged affairs,
Checkered
relationships
past?
with
No,
with
sir.
Yum
You
Yum.
don't get to say that shit. That's not
He had
true.
alleged relationships with
And-
Yum Yum.
I asked the gentleman's words be taken
You
down.
don't get to say
Mr.
that,
Chairman,
pal.
I asked the
We ask that
gentleman's
the
words be
gentleman's
taken down as casting a slur on another member.
Will
That is-
I am here.
He's making,
I asked the
let's have
words
some
of the
order
gentleman
and
be taken down as
civility.
casting a
Let
slur
us
on another
have-
member.
Let us have some order and civility here, and we will take up the issues one by one.
Mr. Chairman, I ask that the words of the gentleman be taken down as expressing a slur on another member.
I join in that request.
And the specific words were?
he mentioned that Mr. Swalwell had a checkered past. I don't have the rest of the exact words, but it was a direct slur on a member of this committee. That is not acceptable.
We are going to consult the precedents and take temporary recess.
Thank you.
Would the gentleman wish to withdraw his words?
Yes, and I would like to rephrase. This is the same member that was removed from the Intelligence Committee that he previously served on. So now let's get right down to the serious business as it relates to our southern border. My question is more related to those who claim to be minors but pose as the adults. I've got several articles in here. Border Patrol nabs hundreds of illegal immigrant adults posing as children. Border Patrol nabs 8 illegal immigrants who pose as unaccompanied minors to avoid deportation. This is an article here with our school districts across the country that are dealing with this. This is from city officials in Lynn, Massachusetts that talked about adults now, adults that are in this country. They posed as minors, they're in this country, and now we've got 23, 24, 25, 30-year-old people in our high schools. Think about that. They're in our high schools. They're across the entire country. City Superintendent of Schools there, Catherine Latham in Lynn, Massachusetts, said this is out of control. They have, these individuals are in their schools. There's very little documentation. It says federal policy prohibits city officials from inquiring into a child's immigration or citizenship status and background. We've got problems here, folks. We got problems, and the left is just continuing to ignore it. They're ignoring it. Mr. Carey, what proof, since we got individuals coming in here, they're old, what proof is required to determine a minor's age?
Well, you talked about screening at the border, so Customs and Border Protection, I believe, is the law enforcement entity
Okay.
that determined that these children.
DNA, my
were not to be-
friend, do they do?
Well, I think these children were determined not to be eligible as minors before they would have been turned over to ORR.
Okay.
So a law enforcement body determined that they were not minors
Right.
and they did not go into ORR.
Yeah, so DNA, birth certificates, passports, medical records, what does somebody need to produce?
Well, in fact, birth records and a host of other materials are collected both from country of origin and.
What happens if they don't have any of these documents, sir?
Well, I believe there are individual circumstances, and those are, in fact.
What is the protocol then?
Well, I think it would vary greatly. I do not know what it is currently because I'm not in the office.
All right, this guy here behind me, I'd like to spend a moment with this guy. This guy here, 24 years old, he posed as a minor. He comes into this country, shares a fake name. Not him, he wasn't a minor. He said he was 16, 17, comes in, he's 24 years old. ORR releases him, they send him to Florida. He's over there hanging out with a fella, his sponsor, not a father, not a mother, just a sponsor. And what does he do? A few short months later, he kills him. He kills him. Now, I don't know what the protocol is down there, but when I look at this guy, he's got more chin whiskers than more 40-year-olds have. Look at that guy. Now, how does a guy like that get into this country as a minor? He comes in, he says, my name is such and such, no such name. and he gets released into this country, and he took a life. There's just more than this guy. There are hundreds, if not thousands of them in this country posing as minors. I could sit here and talk about the MS-13 gangs that are coming in here and harming our American people and our citizens, and what are we doing about it? Ms. Vaughn, I wish I had more time. I do. Ms. Rodriguez, ma'am, thank you for what you do. Thank you for exposing what this administration has done to this country, putting the American people last each and every time. But we're in control now, and I can damn well tell you, help is on its way. Thank you, sir. I yield back.